There tends to be a lot of confusion about the generation of electricity. Which type is best for the environment? Which is the most expensive? How do I know what to build? It shouldn't have to be that complex, and in fact, it's not. I'm going to go through this in a very short period of time, but I'll start with a caveat. There are some numbers on here that are rules of thumb, they're approximations, but they're fairly accurate. Any of the experts out there will quickly say, that's not deadly accurate, and that's not meant to be the point. This is meant to illustrate the concept of how you generate electricity and which factors you have to take into consideration. So the first thing is to figure out how much load you have to serve. If you're a utility, it might be 1,000 megawatts or 10,000 megawatts. If you're at home, it might be much smaller than that. There are various types of generation systems. Not all are listed here, but a lot of the dominant ones. And they each will have a load that they were able to generate. What that means is when it's running full tilt at 100% of its capability, how much electricity can it generate in terms of megawatts or kilowatts typically. So for example, wind might be a 3 megawatt wind turbine. Large hydro may be 1,000 megawatts or more. So it really depends. But what you need to know is what's the total. Second, there's something referred to as a capacity factor. What that means, how much of the year on a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365-day basis is this source available to generate electricity? In some cases, the number is small, but it makes sense. 25% roughly for solar, but that's because the sun doesn't shine a lot of the time. The wind doesn't often blow. If it's what is referred to as a firm source or base load, you can get very high numbers, up to 98% or more for nuclear. What you really need to know is, how do I get 100%? It may be one source, it may be multiple sources, but what you don't want to have is only one source that will give you a number smaller than that, because that means your lights are not on for whatever percentage of time that's below 100. So it's fairly straightforward. Which mix do you need to get to 100? You'll see batteries here. I'm going to explain that in just a minute because they don't generate electricity. In terms of the cost, the operating cost, and fuel is a large part of that, figure out what's the total. Sunshine is free. Uranium for nuclear is rather expensive. It has to be mined, transported, shipped, stored, etc. But nonetheless, you can calculate a dollar figure for the type of mix that you've got to get to 100%. Last, what does it cost to build? Now these numbers are in order of dollars per kilowatt, and you can see there's quite a range. A lot of variables, obviously. Where am I building it? How far away from civilization might that be? How big or small is it going to be? Nonetheless, you can come up with a number. So, in summary, how much load do you need to provide? What generation mix do you need to get to 100%? What are your operating costs? How much does it cost to build? Voila, you've done it. A quick note on batteries. They do not generate electricity. They merely store electricity that's generated by other sources. So the cost of the electricity that goes into the battery will depend on the type of source it's getting the electrons from. Confusing? Still a bit. If you'd like to learn more, please reach out. I'm Keith. I'm with Accepted Utility Strategies. We'd love to hear from you.